Nick, today, and I just touched on this at the top of the show, the government announced the permanent migration intake will stay at 185,000 for 25-26 for the financial year. So that's no change from last year. But let's not be fooled here. There's a big, big difference between those we give a permanent place to come to Australia, that's that 185,000 number, and the overall intake we have each year. Now, already it's predicted we're going to hit over 500,000 by December, and it's that number, that purple band there, is just half a year's worth of numbers, and already in half a year it's higher than the permanent number. But that's the number that's got people so uptight. That's why they're protesting in the streets, because they're not allowed a legitimate debate in this country. And I have to say, it's both sides of politics who are shutting this down.
Well, Peter, we know that this is this record high migration intake that we've seen under the Labor government through their first and now their second term is putting historic pressure on all of our infrastructure, whether that's housing, whether that's health, whether that's our public transport systems, our roads. So no wonder people are very upset about it. No wonder people are protesting. People are understandably concerned about the composition of our society and whether we will continue to be one of the most peaceful and respectful countries on earth. But we know why Labor are doing this. Not only is it so that people like Minister Tony Burke can welcome many, many new migrants into his electorate, for example, but it's so Labor can prop up their budget. So more migrants means more money coming into Australia, being spent into Australia. But the trade-off, of course, is quality of life for everybody who's here.
I'll get into that with an economist. We've got an economist coming up because it's a false number. Like, it's an immediate inflation in terms of demand, but the cost profile of these migrants over time hits the budget at the other end, particularly state and federal. But I'll leave that for a moment. Hey, it's a National Flag Day tomorrow. We only have one national flag. We have a raft of official flags, as you know, Phil, but one national flag. So tomorrow I'd love to see on every building in Parliament House and around Canberra just one Australian flag on the flagpole. But you reckon we shouldn't be allowed to burn it? It should be illegal. You've got a pretty strong view, haven't you?
I do. I moved a motion in Parliament to criminalise burning the Australian national flag. I think it's important for us as a nation to make it a criminal offence. We've seen protesters burn the flag with no repercussion or any kind of punishment. This is the flag that Australian soldiers wear on their shoulder. I've fought on the battlefield underneath its colours. Mates of mine have been killed in war, died in training or succumbed to their war within, have had their coffins draped in the Australian flag. It's much more than a bit of cloth. It is the fabric that brings us all together as Australians. And I think it's about time that we honour the flag, we honour the people that have served underneath it and fought for our nation, and honour all Australians by making it a criminal offence so these grubs and thugs on the streets can't light it on fire. Beautifully expressed, Phil. That's beautifully said. A foreign interference, Nick, the government wants to bring in additional regulations and laws to tighten the rules that already exist. They want to particularly go after universities, and there is some concerns that universities have relationships with other bodies overseas. They might do research, let's say, and there are high-risk areas. I suspect we're talking about defence research and cyber and other things. But I tell you, for all the talk of the government, they don't list the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. That's not a listed terror group yet. They still have not listed Hizb ut-Tahrir. They are a radical Islamist group. They are active in Australia. We know that. And they're pretty silent on Bob Carr and Daniel Andrews going over there attending this military parade in China. I mean, I have not forgotten Daniel Andrews and his position on China's Belt and Road.
Precisely, Peter. And the fact that we have two former premiers, both of whom governed for significant periods of time, attending an event where there will also be Iran, Russia and North Korea, and obviously it's in China, at this moment in international history is just extraordinary, and the Prime Minister should be condemning it, quite frankly. But we know that Prime Minister Anthony Albanese won't. They're his Labor mates. And back to university, the action Labor is allegedly going to be taking now on foreign interference in universities. Peter, when I started as a regular contributor to Sky in early 2023, one of the first columns I wrote was about the Joint Standing Committee on Security and Intelligence, I think it was, who had released a report, a very thorough report that had bipartisan support from both Labor and Liberal MPs and senators, saying that urgent action needed to be taken on foreign interference in our universities. Now, Labor at the time, in early 2023, responded to that. They only adopted 12 of the 27 recommendations and noted the other 15. And now they're finally taking some action like this. They've had this information. They responded 2 years ago. Why has it taken so long? And what else are they hiding?